Hello ladies and gentlemen, not many people remember the Suzuki LJ81 and there are not many left on the road. I know of only one other one and that just happens to be in the area here. He's only recently sold it for $600 to somebody up north, I believe. This particular Suzuki that I'm working on here I have had since 1990 and it's now 2019, so you do the math. I've had it for a number of years. It's not the original motor in it. It's got the motor of a later model, only a couple of years later, but a later model. The original motor was a 800cc, very small. This one's not much bigger. It's basically the same engine and the bores are just slightly bigger, so now it's a 1000cc. So the engine block was exactly the same because the sump bolted, my old sump bolted straight onto this engine block. I had to use my old sump because the way the steering rod goes, it brushes past the sump, so the sump's got an indent in it. And the other sump that it came with, the engine did not. So I was quite surprised to see that this bolted straight onto the engine block, and so that was not an issue. So it's the same engine as my old engine, it's just got bigger bores, so no harm, no foul. As far as I know, it is the original carburetor. That's what I'm taking out here. So it's seen a few decades of work. I've had to rebuild the whole engine, of course, which was fun within itself. I'm doing a full video on that, on the full rebuild. Of course, the rest of the truck is in pretty good nick. She was tech-tiled. For those of you who don't know what that is they spray tar in every crevice that they can possibly spray it, and just to ward off any rust, and it is preserved this vehicle miraculously well, so which is good. The seals, as you can imagine, after 30 plus years, they do get a bit brittle and hard. O-rings turn to concrete. Yeah, so I had to replace all the seals in the engine. Some of the ones I had to burn out. That was the only way I could get them out. There was an O-ring to the oil pump that was set like concrete. It was the hardest thing. I couldn't scrape it out. I couldn't do nothing with it. And of course, after all those years, it had flattened, and of course, because it's hard, it doesn't rebound, so you had nothing to grip on. So the only thing I could do is take a blowtorch to it, with some remnants of oil still there. So you can imagine the mess my garage got into in a short amount of time. Managed to get that out. So got all new seals in the engine. She's now running pretty good. Just the carburetor need a bit of cleaning up and touching up. That's what I'm doing here. So that's all good. So video coming. The total rebuild of this truck, step by step, as much as I have videoed of the rebuild. And after that, you're going to see some interesting videos on lots of things from the past, because as you can tell, I love things from the past. So stay tuned. We're going to see some changes around here. Name change, new branding, new logos, everything. So away with the old and with the new, since I've had to destroy my other channel, and this one's only been up and running for a few months. I've finally decided what I want to do, or the direction I want to go. I couldn't go to the same direction as my other channel for simple reasons. I would be recognized, and I didn't want the problems to reoccur. And I'm not even going to go into what that was. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Big changes coming. Okay, so we're just gonna watch me. I'm just cleaning up the carburetor here. I've already put it back together after taking it apart. These are all just quick glimpses at what I was doing. You don't want to see all the 4 hours I spent doing that. Open the garage door because we're going to be starting the car up, and I don't want a repeat of my very first engine rebuild where I received carbon monoxide poisoning because I had an engine running in a closed garage. Use ventilation, people. Trust me, it is not good. This part's quite comical because I want to put it back in But the top bolt to the carby has not a hell of a lot of room to play with. You sort of have to slide it, and there's only a little gap in between the bolt and then the rest of the carburetor housing. So you have to slide it on a little bit, put the washer on, slide it on a bit more, put the nut on, then slide it forward, you know, rotate the nut, slide it forward, rotate the nut until it's all the way up. You can't get a spanner in there, so basically what I did is I cut an old spanner down to a more reasonable size, and I'll see if I can skip to that. And yeah, once you cut it down to a reasonable size, I was able to work on it without taking off the radiator hose, because that would have been a pain in the butt. There we go. Ta-da! I cut out the part where you hear me grinding in the background. Took an angle grinder to it. It was just an old spanner of an old Toyota Land Cruiser, which I got rid of ages ago, but I still had the toolbox. So this truck, basically all you need is a spanner set ranging from 8mm up to 17mm, and you can basically do anything on that truck. It's real basic, 3 fuses. You don't, you know, if there's an electrical problem, you just check all 3 fuses. If that's, you know, you'll soon find out if there's an issue. Reconnect the battery. Some engine start. There you go. What could possibly go wrong? Eh? Alright, let's see what happens. Turn the magic key. Let's see if I did the right thing, folks. Nah, just kidding. She started off beautiful.